exclusively on the OysterLink Podcast, the fastest growing hospitality job platform in the US. Meet the man who turned a coffee truck into one of Miami's fastest rising coffee brands. Milan and his wife immigrated from Belgrade to New York to chase their American dream.
I was 17 or 18. That's where I got my first barista job. That's where I started, and then spent some of my time working on cruise ships for multiple cruise line companies, and that all led me to one day come to New York and kind of try to go a step further.
What started as a mobile coffee truck is now Naughty Coffee, a buzzing cafe in the heart of downtown Miami.
And we have a mission where we want people to come and experience what we do and to come back. And that's the only mission we have, right? Let's be real to people and give them the best we can do every day.
Hear how Milan built a brand one cup at a time. Only on the OysterLink Podcast, your weekly dose of stories and insider tips from America's top hospitality professionals. So to start, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your career path?
My name is Milan Blagojevic. I was born and raised in Europe, in Serbia, and I've been living in US since 2015. Most of my life I spent working in hospitality industry since I was, I believe I was 17 or 18. That's where I got my first barista job, and I used to be a cafe and a cocktail bar. Very popular place in Belgrade where I learned my craft first back in, I believe it was 2008 or 2009. So it's been a long time ago. That's where I started, and then spent some of my time working on cruise ships for multiple cruise line companies. I was bartender at Celebrity Cruises. I worked as a bartender on a Disney cruise line. And that all led me to one day come to New York and kind of try to go a step further and work behind the New York speakeasy bars in 2015. And that's actually where my US hospitality path started, more or less. My first job was in employees only. It's employees only. It's one of the first speakeasies in New York. It was a great place where I was already, like, when I got there, I was already kind of an experienced bartender, but it was a place where you have to start from beginning and start with a kind of lowest position behind the bar, and I start my job as a stalker. So it's like when you work many years in the restaurant, or like, let's say you're already a chef, but then you walk into a 3-star Michelin star restaurant, you have to start from beginning. You have to start being, let's say, a prep cook or a dishwasher. So you gotta work your way up. So that's how my journey started in New York. And then a few years after, employees only, the cocktail bar wanted to open a spot in Miami, and they offered me a position over there, and I happily took it. And then we moved to Miami, and that's where I kind of worked for them a few years. The restaurant unfortunately closed, and then I decided to have my own business. It was kind of naturally for me, to stay in hospitality. This time is a coffee. I spent most of my working life behind the bar, but it's more or less the same thing. That was the cocktails. This is the coffee. Both of them are like very crafty jobs. So I decided to stay with coffee. Coffee has been a big passion of mine since I was a little kid. So it was kind of natural to stay in hospitality and to do kind of a little switch where I wanted to be present more of in the daytime, because cocktails and cocktail bars, usually you work in the nighttime. So I was like, for many years I worked like behind the bar for almost 15 years, and I was like, I need to change my job to work more daytime. So I think, but that was not the only reason I did that. I was highly passionate for coffee, so I was like, let me pursue my dream in hospitality
Let me ask you about the Naughty Coffee Shop. First of all, like the concept and the name, where does it come from?
Concept and name. It's a long story. That's something between me and my wife. When we first met, she was telling me, "Are you sure you wanna go down that path and go after me and like kind of be in love with me?" I'm a kind of very naughty person, meaning like when the little kids are naughty, they're like mischievous
Yep.
and they do troubles in a way. So she was like, this is one of the first things she ever told me, and then that thing stayed with us. And then years after, I mean, like 10 years after, we are there and opening our coffee shop, and we are like, how are we gonna call it? Uh, and then it just stick to us. We were like, let's call it a naughty coffee. And then the logo of ours, it's a head of a raccoon, and the raccoons are very
Yep.
very naughty animals. They're sometimes mean, but it's a little bit of our personality. But and then we were like, let's call it a naughty coffee. And then it started as something fun, but eventually grew into something bigger. And then now it's a brand, and now it's a people see it and they talk about it, and then they can recognize it, and it's just crazy. But that's how it started, basically.
I was going to mention, like, you built a brand out of this even before having the store. I know that you recently got into this new brick and mortar store, but
Mhm.
before that, even during the truck days, like you had two trucks and you built an entire brand in a competitive market like the Miami market. So I want you to tell me more about your like strategy, how you built that brand during the truck, like the coffee truck.
Honestly, I know there's in a world of business, there's always like, how do you things, what do you do, what's the recipe for anything you do. But it for us, for me, was for both of us, actually, because when we lived in New York between 2015 and 2017, the coffee culture in New York was on another level. It was something that I haven't experienced before moving to New York at that time. And it was actually something that we would always do. We would spend most of our time outside. We never had basically day off in New York. It's always, if you live there, you never home, so you're always out. And if you spend a lot of time outside, most of the time you need quick pick me up, because it's just in New York is a lot of walking, a lot of things going on, and it's like nonstop. And the coffee was something that we did daily, maybe a few times a day. And then um, and that's where we kind of knew what we want to do in life. We were like, oh, we should have our coffee shop in the future. And that's how it started. And then we started we did a coffee truck. It was, when you're starting the business, in a business world, you are nobody. So it's like, you either have your family to help you start a business, or you have
Yep.
your own savings. And that's what it was for us. We had some savings, and we were like, what we can do with this money, because when you're starting, there's not much. You cannot afford a big,
Yep.
beautiful, nicely designed brick and mortar. You just start with what you have. And of course, if there are many startups that have investors and friends, family, or whoever can help them. That's also good. But at that time, we just had our savings, and coffee truck was something that we could uh, build out with the money we had. So basically, that's how we started. And then we give it a name, and we were very excited about it, I would say. And I think that's mainly what will push your brand. It's how much time and how much excitement you put behind your brand and your product, mainly. And since we spent most of our working life in hospitality, it was natural for us to, at least to hope that you're going to have successful business, because you kind of already know what you do. You already know that if you're treating people well, if you have a good product, you should do well. And at least you're hoping for that. And for us, it was never like we wanted to do a business and we want to be successful, we want to grow, and that's all what matters. It was like, let's do what we love, and let's see where it takes us. So that's all the thought behind everything. So it was just
Nice.
do what
I'm
we
feeling
really
this
like.
is like the naughty strategy. Maybe you should write a book and call it like, I don't know, the naughty marketing or the naughty
No,
brand
and it
building or
stayed with
something.
us. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, like how do
Yes.
what to do? Like?" It's just just be yourself, and if you truly love the thing you do, or if you put the time behind it, and I think you will be successful no matter what. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of passion and a
Yeah.
lot of patience. But just stick with it long enough, and do your best, and that's in the end of the day, that's all you can do is just do your best, and whatever comes out
Yeah.
of it.
What about you? Where do you prefer to work from? I mean, do you work from the brick and mortar store or do you prefer the trucks?
Uh, you see, it was, it's, I like when we just started the truck, I was really excited about it. And then, and you spend some time, and then unfortunately, the humans as we are, we start, dreaming about something else. Oh, I want this, I want that, I want my business to be here, my business to be there, and
Yep.
then you appreciate your time in the truck, but you're dreaming of having a brick and mortar, right? And in theory,
Yep.
that's not too much of a difference, to be honest. You're interacting with same people, you're serving the same product day to day, you're doing the same thing. For us, was just we wanted to have a brick and mortar one day, just because we believed we could offer more. Since like I said, we spend most of our time in the hospitality industry, we gather a lot of things we want to do and offer people. We wanted a kitchen, we wanted to roast our own coffee, and for that, obviously, you cannot do that in the truck. In the truck, you can do just as much. You can do
Yeah.
enough for to make people happy and make them a great cup of coffee. But if you wanna do more, you need bigger space. And now I'm working sometimes behind the bar in a brick and mortar, and I'm like miss my days in the truck. It's always like that. The grass is always
Like
greener.
the first
So
baby.
yeah, that was the
Yes.
baby. It's actually we got our newborn. It's 2 months old. So everything happened in
Oh,
the same time.
nice.
We opened the door to our business in
Yes.
downtown, and
Yeah.
then my wife gave birth to our son, and it was just everything in one week, which is crazy, but it's a blessing.
Congratulations on that. This is great.
Thank you.
Then let me ask you about your social media presence. I noticed, like, while checking your Instagram and the reviews online, that a lot of people were commenting about coming back. And a lot of people mentioned, like, the phrase, like, it's worth coming back. So, how do you get people to come back besides the great coffee? I know that you offer, like, great coffee and matcha and everything. So, besides that, what gets people back? What do you think?
No, it's always hospitality. It's actually what people sometimes forget, and they think about funding, they think about product, they think about design, which is all good. We all do that anyways, but hospitality is something that is the only thing that actually is going to bring people back consistently. It's no, of course, good product. There's a coffee shop. There's a good coffee, and you count on it, but let's say you have somebody who's not warm, who's not friendly, serving you every day. You kind of lose desire of going back there eventually. No matter how good cup of coffee is there, or how much you like the design or anything behind the space you go. But I think hospitality is number one. Um, just being the good host, and uh, treating people like as best as you can, because and that's something that I believe it's always stick with the people for longer than that good cup of coffee, or that picture they took and design they liked. So I think, and for us was always priority, just being true to yourself and true to people, being honest, and trying to make their day better, because that's actually why we do this, and I think that's that's most important thing.
I think a lot of business owners these days, like, they have forgotten like the true meaning of the word hospitality. So they do hospitality, but they forgot what hospitality means and represents.
No,
So
of
this is
course,
what
of
you're
course.
talking about exactly.
Exactly. The whole word, it's there's whole meaning behind the word, and that's what actually hospitality should be, just the hospitality, right? Um,
Yep.
yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you walk into a place where people are not happy to see you for whatever reason, or you come to
Yep.
give business to somebody. There's I always tell people, I always tell my workers, that we opened a coffee truck in Aventura Mall, and there was like, I believe, like 7 to 10 coffee shops in the mall, right? And some people will be like, the competition is strong, the market is oversaturated. Like, how you gonna succeed? How you gonna be competitive in the market that it has everything already, right? And my idea was always do your own thing. Just be yourself and treat people well, and that's actually what you can do better, than other coffee shops, or not coffee shops, like any other business. If you entering the market where there is a lot of competition, I think
Yep.
focusing on people, it's most important thing, because that's actually what gonna
Giving
bring
them a good
people back.
experience.
No, of course, of course, of course. That's the only way actually to succeed, I
You
believe.
mentioned you mentioned now your team, your workers. May I ask you how many team members do you have right now?
Team members, there is, I think, 5 at one location. I mean, close to 20 at the moment. Yeah, it's
Okay, nice. And I
it's
noticed that on Instagram you call them the naughty team. So
the
again, I
naughty
have to
team. Yeah,
ask you,
yeah,
what
yeah.
separates the naughty team from others? What makes them different?
Yeah, I like to believe again. I always push them, and I always, I'm trying to be very, very nice boss, but I always like to be, try to lead them in a way where we are just a team, and we have a mission where we want people to come and experience what we do and to come back, and that's the only mission we have, right? To treat people well, to give them great product, and to hope they're gonna be back. And I tell my people, like, let's have a let's be naughty, let's be fun, but let's be real to people, and give them the best we can do every day. And
Yep.
even though, when we used to have one little truck in Aventura Mall. It was like 3, 4 of us, me, my wife, and 2 more people working. But we used to have these meetings, and like, trying to get best out of the people in such a small environment. And like, one would say, it's just a coffee truck, right? But for me, it was always something that eventually could, be bigger brand, and maybe be recognized for what we do. So that was the always vision. But yeah, that's what it is.
This is impressive. And how can someone get a job, for example, at the coffee shop, at your coffee shop? I mean, when you're interviewing someone, how can you tell this is a great person? This is someone I'm going to hire.
Um, I had through last 5 years, we went through some amount of people, and what I always looked, it's kindness in people. People who are honest and kind, and that's what's very important to me. Personality that is just like good personality. That's what's important. Everything in any business, hospitality, like craft, anything. If you're a little passionate about it, and if you really want to try, you can learn anything. I always try to have more experienced people if I can, but many times I chose people that really didn't have much of experience, but they had good personality and they were good human beings, and eventually they turn out to be very good workers. They followed our standards. They took every shift as a training, and they just got better, and then now they're great baristas. But in most important, they're good people. So that's what we're looking for.
Nice. And what about your future plans? I mean, now that you have like the 2 trucks and you have the new brick and mortar store, what's next for the Naughty Coffee Shop?
That's question for past 2, 3 months. We open our store back in August, and
Yeah, I know it's too early. Like, I mean, I don't know. For
no, no,
let's
no.
say
You
the
just say,
long future, if you had a dream
yeah,
to.
of course. It's I always said, always, have dreams and ideas. I want to have many coffee shops or different cities on different continents. That's always something that's in our head. But I always try to say, I'll give my best. If it happens, it happens. But many times, throughout the business, you get carried away. You try to think what's next. And this time, I try not to think too much what's next, but to focus on a present. Just because past 5 years for me was thinking what's next, and of course, with that mindset,
Yep.
you're gonna go forward. If you know, of course, if the universe, the stars, and everything aligns in your life, if you're healthy, you're gonna go forward. But for me, it's becoming. I know what I want next, but I also want to enjoy the present. You know, because you sometimes, for example, for this location, we put a lot of work. This is like years of ideas, of
Yep.
imagination, of love, of work, of hard work, and you know, and then design and everything. And it was very hard to put this business together in Miami in general, like permitting and everything. It took 1 year, more than a year to build this business, to build this particular location. And you spend so much energy, and then now you get there and it's doing extremely well, and then every person that walks in there is like, oh, what's next for you? And you're like, wait, I
Yep.
want to I want to experience, because I put so much
Yes.
work and love to it, and it's beautiful, and it's amazing, and it's busy. I want to enjoy that, you know, because if I focus on a second thing, you know, it's just you're hardly gonna
Yep.
have
You will
time to
not
enjoy,
enjoy what you have at the moment. Yes.
which I
Then let me
often, you
ask you if
know,
you ever, for example, yeah, go ahead.
which I
Sorry.
often think, you know, it doesn't have to be like this. You know, there's a lot of people who are driven, who want, you know, success, and they have more stuff, they want more and more, which is great. I always support that. You know, if you want something, go for it. But sometimes, you know, it's good to stay a little present, you know, and take a step back and see in this present, do I do everything good? What can I do better? And you
Yep.
know, enjoy it for a few years, and then when I'm really good, then maybe I can think about something else.
But
But
let me ask you, if you
entirely,
ever decide, for example, to go to another city, let's say, for example, New York City, would you start with a brick and mortar or would you start with another truck? How would you
uh
enter the market? With
to be
another
honest
truck
with
or a store?
to to be honest, I love my trucks, but they're great. They're a great business model too. From business perspective, the truck is great. If you put it in a high volume traffic environment, like a mall, like a shopping plaza, or anything like that, you'll be successful if you, of course, if you have a good product with hospitality, no doubt about it. And but I really got addicted into this, creating the spaces that you know,
Yep.
they can do a little more. And you know, truck is great. Sometimes it's very tiny, and you want to do more. And somebody like me, I'm extremely passionate about what we do at the moment, and coffee is really, you know, important to us, and we like serve food as well. And you know, we have very decent kitchen in the space we do now,
Yep.
and I think I want to do keep doing both. And if I want to keep doing both, I need space that it's a little bit bigger. So my answer would be definitely brick and mortar. And in a place like New York, yeah, brick and mortar definitely. And back to your question, if you know, if to expand and where to go, I think uh, dream is New York. But you know, if like I said, if universe aligns, then I would love to be New York. You know,
Yep.
for me, New York is a capital of the world. You
Thank you.
know, it's a place
Of course,
where,
of
you
New
know,
York.
if you do well, you know, it's like everyone knows you. So I think it's definitely New York.
Thank you so much, Milan, for your time today and all the best wishes for like the new place and congratulations again on the newborn.
No, thank you, Matthew. Thank you so much for inviting me.